be somebody like that where the rest of the country can go, oh, thank God. Thank God this guy is finally running or something. So I think 2024, I think 2020 right now is just kind of like, okay, we got stuck with these guys, and
Yeah.
that's an apolitical statement, but 2024 will be like, yes, let's go with this guy, and it'll be an easy. I think it'll be an easy election. It'll be the answer will be very clear, and then that'll kind of move things forward. Because if you think about standard deviations, which is a big way of trading, you see how I'm looping us into the trading.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. So if you think about standard deviations, which is how I trade, everything reverts back to the mean. And if you talk about, how are we living in present times, I think we've made a third deviation move. All right.
This is the How to Trade Stocks and Options podcast, brought to you by 10MinuteStockTrader.com, where we cover finance, stocks, options, entrepreneurship, education, and money. And here's your host, voted one of the top 100 people in finance, Christopher Ewell. Why trade alone when you can access over 100 years of trading experience right at your fingertips? Simple strategies, proven tools, real-time alerts, and an interactive trading community await. Keep it simpler with Simpler Trading by visiting their website at simplertrading.com and check it out with a $7 trial today. That's at simplertrading.com. Hey, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified every time we give you more tools, tips, and tricks to help you trade faster and trade smarter every single week.
Hey there, traders. Welcome back to today's How to Trade Stocks and Options podcast. Today we have a special guest back online, Jack Roberts from Simpler Trading. I really enjoy talking to Jack, and today he's got some interesting insights on gold. And I started to ask him about it, and I was like, hold on, Jack. Let's save it for the show. So, Jack, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah?
I think it's
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's let's just jump on in. I think it's a good time to sit on the sidelines with gold and wait for what I think is going to be, and severe maybe not the right descriptor, but a bigger pullback. And what that does is it allows us to, hold that into 2021, and that's believe it or not, it seems like a safer trade. Uh, as fleet of safety seems like it's been, like we've talked about in the past, fleet of safety has been like tech and
Mm.
high momentum stocks, and it's just been really interesting to sit back and watch gold pull back. And then um, so I think next week is kind of the week where I'll consider an entry position. And then of course if gold takes off, silver will too, and SLV is nice to trade. I tell you what, man, this is a market where being patient is paying off so well,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, I have not looked at gold in a handful of weeks, right? Because gold had its nice big rally, it peaked and it dropped and it was flat for a while. And then recently it kind of like fell off a cliff again. So now we're back under 2000, right?
Yeah, and I think it's got a little bit more room to a little bit more potential for it to pull back like I'm talking about. And credit's still cheap. You have there was a solid move in being for equities.
We talked about
So
that. I remember.
yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit shocked whenever you jump into the financial world zeitgeist. There's a lot of this, oh, the election is going to cause the market to crash if Biden gets in and all this stuff. And just remember what happened in 2016. Wait, what? Yeah, 2016. Whenever Hillary Clinton was deemed to basically not only did she have more votes, she was predicted to win in a major way. I think the same thing. I think we're about to repeat that. I think we're about
Dude.
to, yeah.
All right, listen, we're about to get political on the podcast. First time ever.
Let's do it.
First time ever. I'm telling you, because I don't like to go political, because I know a lot of people have very strong opinions. Way. I'm thinking the exact same thing. Like, I remember on election night 2016, I was looking at BuzzFeed of all places, which BuzzFeed was really popular back then, but now BuzzFeed's really fallen off. But BuzzFeed's a very liberal place to be. And I liked their, like, whatever quizzes and just interesting pop culture things that they had. But I was watching them for their election coverage, and they had the entire country blue and they were like, hey, listen, as Trump wins a state or two here or there, we'll flip it to red. It'll be great. No big deal, but Hillary's totally got this. By the end of the night, they were crying, like actually literal tears coming out of their faces. And I'm like, I'm seeing the same thing, right? Everywhere I go, it's like, I even had a guest on the podcast and she was like, oh, I know who's going to win the election, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not predicting anything, but what I am seeing is exactly what happened 4 years ago. So it would not surprise me if a month from now, we're seeing Trump in his second term. Now, like I said, this is not a political show. Don't at me. Don't try and come at me and hate me or whatnot. I'm just telling you what I see. So back to you, Jack.
yeah. Listen up, listeners. That's an important message because me too. I am the most apolitical person, but it is relevant. And so here's a couple things to consider. Right? Is one, I mean, no one cares if you and I agree. Clearly, we do. But think about who's not going to turn out to vote for Biden. That's a ton of people. And also a similar thing to like, maybe it doesn't have to be a new trader, but maybe someone that doesn't realize that paying attention to the news is not helpful at all whenever you're a trader. And the media is so establishment right now that they have been forever, right? That why wouldn't they push some type of like narrative how Biden's numbers are strong or something? It's within their not only their financial interest, but within their inherent interest to keep the establishment going, to report faulty numbers or a false narrative. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, you can just it's for someone who's just kind of awake to the bullshit, right? Or whatever it might be. It's just kind of like, wow, this is not only is it obvious, but it's like, put a lot of money on Trump winning and you might be a rich man,
I'm telling you, I'm seeing the exact same thing you are. And it reminds me so much of 4 years ago, so much when every poll said Hillary was winning. And then Trump would quietly say in the corner, which is rare for him, he's like, I'm looking at different poll numbers and I'm seeing something totally different. And, I got to tell you, we're getting way off topic here, but like with the virus, like Trump getting the virus, I called my mom because my mom is in her 70s and I worry about them getting the virus and stuff. And I'm like, this feels way, way, way too planned. Like this does not seem coincidental whatsoever that the virus across the entire world happens to get Trump 3 weeks before the election. Like that just like it's giving me goosebumps right now that this feels really, really too planned. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. So far, he's doing all right. He's back home, if you can call the White House home. But just the way that things are coming out, planning out, following the same narrative, like you were saying, as the last election. I don't know, man. It feels eerily like second term Trump is going to happen. Like I say, don't come at me. I'm just telling you what I see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't come at us.
Yeah, because I tell you what, the people who drive around, we both live here in Texas, but the people who drive around with like Trump stickers on their cars, first off, I salute them for showing their pride in what that is. But I also think that it's somewhat dangerous because there are people with exceptionally strong opinions that will go and break your car window. And you may have kids in the car, right? And they're going to like follow you and chase you down. And I've heard stories like this, like literally having a Trump sticker on your car is a target for vandalism or a target for harassment. And I cannot get behind that. I don't care who your political parties are, but like there is no reason to act uncivil because somebody has a sticker on their car or whatnot. It's just, yeah, we're super off topic. Sorry there, Jack.
No, stop saying that. We're on topic. Today we're on topic. No, so I think two things is I think the rest of the country, the majority is pretty much in line and step with what you're talking about. And then also, I mean, the fact that that a lot of those documents around Russia and things like that were planned via the Clintons. That's going to be declassified by Trump. And, it's no surprise to you and I who pay attention to this type of stuff because, the markets are also very relevant to the political landscape. And, but I mean, I think the majority of the country kind of feels the way you do, as far as, what's acceptable behavior, what's not. You just have those bad actors, and that, that grabs more attention. I mean, if you ever saw that latest documentary that came out, The Social Dilemma.
I haven't seen that. What's that on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's basically like, okay, well, lies or fake news travels 6 times faster and has 6 times more of a grab than w- real news.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, then that just gives strength to the bad actors or anyone that's, yeah, it's just a really weird landscape. And I honestly think that 2024, right, that would be our next election,
Yeah.
is probably going to include, and 4 years from now, let's talk about this. I'll
Sure.
burn it in the memory. This
Let's
will be
do it.
great. Yeah, yeah. Is I think we're going to have a super young or progressive, obviously not a 70-year-old uh, white guy.
Billionaire, right?
Yeah. Well, I was talking about Biden, who,
Oh.
a 70-year-old white guy that's fallen off the edge, that started the three-strike rule, has crazy drug enforcement laws to, just establishment after establishment. I mean, he worked on some of the craziest, crappiest stuff his entire career. But I think what we're going to have is quite the opposite in 2024. That'll be the election where we go, okay, we had these guys, one of the two. We had these old white guys, billionaire guys. I think what we're going to have is a billionaire, but like an ultra progressive. And I don't mean somebody like, Elon Musk is clearly not going to run for president, though. I mean, he could, but it'll be somebody like that where the rest of the country can go, oh, thank God. Thank God this guy is finally running or something. So I think 2024, I think 2020 right now is just kind of like, okay, we got stuck with these guys, and
Yeah.
that's an apolitical statement, but 2024 will be like, yes, let's go with this guy, and I think it'll be an easy election. The answer will be very clear, and then that'll kind of move things forward. Because if you think about standard deviations, which is a big way of trading, you see how I'm looping us into the trading?
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. So if you think about standard deviations, which is how I trade, everything reverts back to the mean. And if you talk about, how are we living in present times, I think we've made a third deviation move. All right. So, across all landscapes. And then so if things revert back to the mean, and they do, as far as human behavior, election processes, 2024 will probably be the election that'll probably be the most important out of any election since, since Reagan, maybe. I mean, I probably a lot of people listening to this are probably like, no, you're way off basis. It's like, no. I mean, we're going to have a breakthrough as a country, reversion to the mean.
I agree with you. But I think it actually started with Trump, right? Trump
Yes,
didn't
I
come
agree
from a
with that
political
too.
realm.
That's
right?
true. I
He
agree
was the
with
first
that.
outsider. You guys need to change your act, which I applauded that, right?
I do
I
too.
have been of the mindset that the way that our government created things may have been broken a long time ago, and we did need an outsider to step in. In fact, I was excited about Trump because he would come in and say, like, my original thought was he would come in and run America like a business. And if something isn't functioning, what do you do in a business? You fix it or you eliminate it. You don't kick it down the road like traditional politics would be, right? If we've established this thing is now an established thing and will always be an established thing. Versus in a company, hey, if this isn't working, why isn't it working? Let's evaluate it and let's move on from there. I don't think we got as much as that as I was hoping for. But I do absolutely feel that the candidates were not the best choices, I guess is a good way to say it. Like neither one of them really is like the go-to, like this is going to change America, right? It's either this guy's already in office and so I guess he's going to get a second term opportunity, or this guy was recently in office and he somehow is, on par with running the country. I don't know. Personally, like I don't know how I don't follow politics all that deeply. But when I see Joe Biden and I hear some of his things, it's like, is he really the best guy for the job? Right? And I'm not saying Trump is, so don't come at me, people. But I am saying that, like, I don't know if we had the two best contenders in the whole United States to run it, And that's why I totally agree with you that I think the 2024 election will be that case where somebody, maybe party, because people will be real fed up with this stuff by then, will come in and say, hey, you know what? I'm the social media party. Let's call it that. I'm the social media party. So I've got all the social media people behind me, kind of like Andrew Wang was trying to be, but he didn't work out, right? And I got to say that I'm pretty happy that the Bernie Sanders socialism train didn't come to town. Just saying, that's my own opinion, but yeah, I don't know, man. I do think that there is going to be, I don't want to say a revolution, but I could totally see a change in the guard at some point.
Well, like one of your first comments a couple minutes ago about how Trump was kind of the one that came in and actually did break up the status quo and all that stuff, but he was coming into the system, right? Like you said, it's like he could only do so much, and if and who really knows like how much he's affected change, but you can see a lot of the breaking up. You've had people in and out of the establishment, and I wonder if he's just got the party going, or the system kind of moving in a different direction. And I think that's what a lot of people can agree on, is like, yeah, I mean, you can call it draining the swamp, you can call it, getting rid of this stuff, all that stuff. But really, I think it's just kind of kick-started what could happen in 2024 and then 2028. But yeah, as far as the markets go and how it's going to reaction to the election, I think we're going to continue to see volatility. And then also, I feel like the market is already pricing in. Like, it wouldn't look, we're already having 400-point moves every once in a while in the NASDAQ. Okay, what if we have another one of those? It's just another day in the market.
Yeah. I thought that actually. It's like, when I was looking at my my watch list, and I've got it sorted by highest to lowest percentage change. And we used to have those days where it was like 5 basis point, 10 basis point change up or down. Now it's like 80, 90, 1%. That's a normal day now. And it's like, this has gotten a lot more movement to it than it used to. Like, I remember seeing these like next to nothing days.
Yeah, you have like 2017 and 2018 where it was basically like blah. And then now you're having, like you said, 1%, 1.25% days in the S&Ps. And it's like, I was wondering for the past 3 weeks, one of the biggest thoughts on my mind, Chris, was, are we going to have a limit down day? Are we going to have like a giant flush where, what you have right now is a bunch of hedge funds emptying positions, which is causing the volatility, and then you have market makers defending their gamma by having to buy more stock as people short more, and that's causing a lot of short squeezes. The first example of that, obviously John Carter, just killing it in Tesla, but that was our prime example of 2020, where you had short squeezes based on managing gamma from the market makers and hedge funds. And then what we're seeing now is things like Zoom and Peloton, which are reactive or connected, correlated to COVID-19. But that's also a function, the movement there is a function of the short squeeze, which is basically shorts getting out of their positions because the momentum to the upside is just way too much to handle, right? And I'm grateful for the volatility, because 2017 and 2016 were very tough as a trader. It doesn't mean that profits weren't there. It just means that I remember sitting down and going, is the S&P going to move 5 points?
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, it's just like, oh gosh, as a trader, it's like, it's active suffering. And here I am.
You could sell iron butterflies on the indexes on the day they expire, and it might move like 1 or 2 points either direction, and you'd be fine. I remember doing that. I remember I would put those trades on. I would go to the movies on a Friday in the middle of the day when no one's there, and it was great. I remember watching it all by myself.
Oh yeah, that was a good one, actually.
Yeah, and like the positions just like totally worked, and you didn't have to do anything. It was so easy.
Yeah, and now you're kind of getting paid for doing similar things if you're just out a little bit more further dated expiration, just because you know that the movement is going to go bing, 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 bing. I tell you what, this is one heck of a market. I don't think it lightens up at all. Now, here's what I hate about the world in general is anything could happen.
Yeah.
So like you can only, like, what does how does that quote go? It's like history doesn't repeat itself, but
But
it does rhyme. Yeah.
Mark
Yeah.
Twain. Yeah.
Is that Mark Twain?
Yeah. I actually just heard somebody saying that 2 days ago. So yeah. At least they attributed it to Mark Twain. It could be like Copernicus or like, I don't know, Napoleon. I don't know. Somebody.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be whoever. I mean,
Could
be
be
hilarious.
Elon Musk. He knows everything.
Yeah, yeah, he's. I saw a meme there. He was like, it was something like Elon Musk kind of seems like somebody that's from the future that whenever he talks, he's just trying not to tell all the secrets of the future. Or,
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
he got the what was it, the DeLorean, and he went to the future, and he was like, oh, so this is what cars are going to look like. I'm going to go build them, and so it was the whole self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah,
that's good. I like that. That's good. The DeLorean is. I actually saw one driving down the road the other day. It's such, it's a hate it or you love it, and me and my fiance we're in the middle of well, we're waiting to see what the market does, but we're definitely trying to get into a new home here in the Austin area, and then also I have my eyes set on the Cybertruck, and she absolutely hates that. And it's like, hey, it's what's funny is like it's an easy truck to make fun of, but it's gonna be so badass.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
it's just like, who knows? I mean, what we saw in the delivery in the opening is actually going to change a lot. They're going to make a lot of upgrades, different colors, and it's a strong pickup.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It does look like a DeLorean,
it
and
certainly does.
it
Yeah.
certainly does. But I love architecture, and I don't know if we've talked about this, but I love brutalist, minimalist architecture. There's a lot of that in Northern Europe. But that's kind of like the take. It's like a brutalist, hard edges, simplistic, minimalistic, but yet it like stands out.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
no, you're good. I was just going to say, since we're on the topic of cars, I'm in the market for starting to shop for a car, and here's where my head's at. I love me a Range Rover. Like I am all about some Range Rovers, and I'm like, I can afford one. I think I'm gonna go get one. But then it's like I'm looking at the Model Y, which is like the mid-sized SUV from Tesla, because I don't want to pay $160,000 for their Model X. Like that's just outrageous. But I could pay 60 and get a Model Y, and then I could experience sub 3 second 0 to 60, and I'm like, Range Rover, Model Y, like future or past, right? That's the debate that I'm having right now. So I've actually been delaying which one I'm gonna get, because it's like these are two different worlds we're talking about here, right? The old big boxy gas guzzler versus the electric super fast, really cool. And I don't want to buy both, so I'm trying to figure out which one I'm gonna get.
I have some input on that.
All right, go for it.
My first car going into college was a Land Rover Discovery. And you're right, it's a gas guzzler. It's a big tank. I mean, they weigh as much as a Suburban does.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also take premium gas.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, gas is cheap right now, but who knows what could happen in the future. I will probably never buy a Land Rover Discovery ever. But I've also had and this was my mistake, I did have a black on black Range Rover a couple years after that, because I'm like you, we have a lot in common. I love me a Range Rover.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is I bought one in the years where it was like, later on you'd find out that it was the year of the most problems.
Oh no. What year was
that? Yeah. I think it was 2005. My Discovery was a 2002, and then I had a 2005 Range, and I remember getting rid of it a year later. But I think it was just like, maybe I had bought it pre-owned. The guy had had it for a year. Excellent car, beautiful, drives great, comfortable. Like, why wouldn't you want one? Mm-hmm. I just, maybe just bad luck on my part. Man, I say just kind of go with what's comfortable. I mean, if you want the Range, go with the Range. You can always do something later. It's a nice feeling. Yeah.
But my wife, I got her the big Lexus SUV, and it runs on premium and everything. And man, that thing is rock solid. Like we've never before that she had a Navigator, and that thing broke daily. Like
Oh
I
wait, can I
remember.
ask you something about
Sure,
this?
sure, yeah, yeah.
Okay, did the Navigator, did the suspension ever go out?
No, but I was so petrified of that happening because I heard about that. What did you have an experience with that?
It happened to my mom all of a sudden. Like I was like, "Mom, did you bag the Navigator?" And
Yeah.
she was like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "What's wrong with it?" I'm like, "Go look. It looks like a soggy rear end." And yeah, I remember that was like a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing. I was concerned about that. But that one I remember, and I don't know if it's all Ford products or if it was like Navigators in particular, but I said to her one day, I was like, your car is either broke or about to break. There's never a time when everything's just working on it. And we got to the point where, I mean, Navigators were not cheap cars, right? Where she would
They
go
still
out.
aren't.
Yeah, she would go out to try and start it and it wouldn't start. And I'm like, what do you mean it wouldn't start? 20 minutes later, she'd come out and it would work. And I'm like, I'm not leaving you and our children in a car in the summer in Texas with a car that won't start. Like, that's dangerous. And so we went to get it repaired, and it was out of warranty at that time. And they were like, oh, it's $1,500 for a new fuel pump. And I'm like, I'm not spending any more money on this sack of crap. We're getting rid of it. So we got her that big Lexus SUV, and it is glorious. It's like the complete opposite that I had to deal with the Navigator. Everything works. The service is phenomenal. Yeah. So I'm hoping that whatever I get going forward, because this will be for me. I drive a Mini Cooper right now.
Oh, that's such a fun car to drive.
Dude, I know. That's why I got it. There were 3 cars I always wanted in my life. One was a Mini Cooper, one was a Range Rover, and the other one is an Aston Martin. And so I'm just working my way up the chain here.
Just
But
waiting for that Vanquish.
yes, exactly. But I tell you, that Mini Cooper has been so much fun. But now I'm looking for, the upgrade. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
I'll tell you what, I totally didn't talk about this, but I will spend like 20 seconds on this. So whenever I had the reason why I got rid of my Land Rover Discovery is because I was driving back from the lake house, and I had 99,997 miles on it. So 3 miles before I hit the 100,000-mile warranty.
Uh-huh.
The drivetrain comes out of the Discovery while I'm going 70 on the highway. And it pops off the highway and goes right through the bottom of the car, and I'm driving, and I'm staring at a molten hot drivetrain that penetrated the bottom of the floor through my leather seats in the back. No kidding. The car comes to a gradual stop. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I look at the mileage. I have 3 miles until the warranty. That would have just destroyed the value of that car. I would have had to pay for everything. And I called Land Rover, and they asked me, they're like, what's your mileage on it? And I said, you're not going to believe this. I have 3 miles until the warranty is up. He was like, well, then everything's free. And I was like,
you better believe it.
Blown away.
Bring the tow truck.
Blown away.
Jeez. Wow.
True story. But yeah, I love them too. I mean, hopefully, the Range Rover is such a beautiful car. I like the drop down line thing. I don't know if that's the sport
on the doors
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. A neighbor just across the street got one. This was totally unplanned. It's not like I wanted one because they got one. And theirs is black with black wheels, the black stripe down the side, and black interior. And I'm like, I don't want all that black. It's Texas. This shit gets hot.
Texas. Yeah. At least get I don't know. I'm kind of a gold I know that's kind of weird. Not a gold, but like a tan, white. I don't know.
You know what I'm looking for is a white one with a black roof and black wheels. And it's going to be my Stormtrooper car. That's what I was telling my kids. Daddy's looking for a new Stormtrooper car.
Yeah, I know you like your Star Wars. I know you do.
That's it.
Yeah, I like it. So let's talk about this real quick. And I know that cars are kind of actually a thing for our millennial generation because 70% of millennials cannot afford a home. 80% students have more than $50,000 or $80,000 of debt. And then we go, okay, well, I remember one of our conversations about 6 months ago, whenever I was talking about the used car market and how used cars will actually kind kind of be the staple for our generation. And I don't know just too many people in our generation. I don't know what the numbers are, but as far as anyone that can afford a new car. And so that kind of plays into how the market goes. It's like, well, all right, well, if used cars are in demand, does that make prices go up and then new cars have to come back down? I think that's what Elon Musk is doing, where he's coming out with that new car that'll be 25K or whatever it might be, which is still a lot of money to most millennials. But it just makes you think, like, the changes that we're about to go through. I mean, you're going to have high-speed internet RV parks, which will be like, not like your, whenever you think of RV park, it's like, okay, baby boomers traveling or whatever. It's like, no, there will be like people living here working remotely, 5G.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So, I mean, you're talking about, and I'm giving a speech on this in November about how the changes that are going to be set in place now will be changes that'll take a very short time to change, like all the stuff I just talked about, but it'll be changes that'll last for our generation. So I think and what I'm going to talk about is the business ideas for people either our age, and it's something that I'm already involved in, is solar service companies, especially in your area, starting with Fort Worth. And then Austin and Houston are kind of already starting as well. But as far as the Dallas, Fort Worth metro area, I mean, anyone that starts a solar servicing company right now is, I mean, just if they just stuck with it for 10 years from now, you're talking about an awesome business, like an incredible business. The second one is the RV parks, putting up some money for cheap land outside of the major metro areas, unrolling 5G. You'll have faster internet than people in the city. I mean, there's so many things that are going to change and happening right now, where I was talking about this with my fiance, because I'm all about, consulting with other people, starting new businesses. My first business, whenever I was 15, I was cleaning commercial windows. And, at 15 years old, I made 20 grand in a summer. And that was life changing. I was like, okay, I'll always have like some sort of business or gig for me. And so I focus on this stuff and I go, well, what do I want to do? Well, I'm already involved with, buying land for RV parks. I'm part of a group where we just go through and we go, okay, well, what's the best cost benefit analysis and where should we put our efforts? And, I love talking about this stuff, but people need to wake up and not be so stuck in their beliefs of what's going to work out and what's not, because everything's changing. And we're going through an acceleration right now, is how I describe it. An acceleration that was bound to happen, and it's just happening right now. And so the takeaway here is, now is the time to start a business. Now is the time to start a business. And it doesn't mean, that you're going to be, seeing awesome profits and it's going to take off. It's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. But if you're, LLC, or your copyright, or at the bottom of your page says, since 2020, 20 years from now, that's going to be a very respectable thing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the world's changing, right? And you're hearing, I have neighbors right across the street. They just moved in from California, which is the thing. Everybody's leaving California,
Not
coming here to
surprised.
Texas. They are continuing to do their Californian work here in Texas. And it's like, why wouldn't I do that? I can go and I can live where it's cheaper. I can live where there's less taxes. Think Joe Rogan, people like that who are abandoning these places that are just being destroyed by the coronavirus. They're being destroyed by homelessness. They're being destroyed by unemployment. And they're coming here to Texas. And this is like the land of opportunity, right? And then they can do their work. That's the other thing, right? They could get in their RV if they have one and drive to I don't know, like Mount Rushmore, and park out there for a week, do their work. This is Tim Ferriss's 4-hour work week, like, come to life, where the entire world can now do the digital nomad lifestyle, where they can pick up, do any, well, I shouldn't say any job, any white collar job, because I mean, you still got to have manufacturing plants on site, but any white collar job is pretty much now telecommuting, which is really cool. I think that's awesome, but it also has a lot of drawbacks for, let's say, like the auto industry, because people are going to be buying less cars. They're going to last longer, hopefully, because they're not being used. For the oil industry, for commercial travel. I just heard recently that, commercial travel may be a thing of the past, right? If I can Zoom to you or do a Skype meeting like you and I are right now, I don't have to fly to California to talk to clients. I can talk to clients today, right now, from my computer. I mean, life is changing, and I think it's good. I think it's for the better, really.
Yeah, and it was so crazy. I was always thinking this whenever this was happening before COVID-19 was like, I mean, besides of like vacation and business trips and things like that, it's like we can all do this like via
Yeah.
remotely. And my best friend, kind of on top of your example, he's an entertainment attorney out in Hollywood, and he was like, we were on the phone a couple months ago, and I was like, well, I mean, what do entertainment attorneys do whenever there's no Hollywood right now? He was like,
Yeah.
well, we were on remote things like negotiating Daniel Craig's 007 movie, like what he, gets paid or whatever not. And I was like, all remote, huh? He was like, yeah. And that's the deal. That's what's happening. Yeah.
So why live in Hollywood anymore?
Why
You
live
can
in Hollywood? Yeah, everyone.
live here
I
in
mean, Joe
Texas with
Rogan's
us.
already. Yeah, my favorite comedian, Tim Dillon, is probably going to move to Austin too. And it's just I saw this coming a long time ago. I called this the Texas Exodus like 3 podcasts ago. Whenever I was talking to you,
Yeah, here we
and
are.
it's happening, and that's why I talk about these. Okay, cities with infrastructure like Fort Worth or Dallas or any of the structured ones, but are still like growing. Fort Worth is growing right now, like crazy. So anything like that's going to be attractive. It's going to bring in new people. A lot of people from the major cities and med areas in the United States are coming here because cheap, security. Texas has its own freaking economy. So it's just like, it's one of these things where, buy a tiny piece of land somewhere out in the middle of nowhere and wait 3 years. Someone's gonna want to buy that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense right now, man. And I was born and raised here, so it just came easy for me. My parents knew what they were doing, I guess. So they were just I don't know, like 4 years ahead of the curve.
Are you you're in Fort Worth, right?
No. I'm north of Dallas.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't want to give away my exact location.
No, yeah, of course, right? No,
Snoopers out there.
but two native Texans is what I'm trying to get at. Two native Texans, and we've been so I'm in basically North Austin, and that has not only seen tremendous growth, but you look at other places like Bastrop, and you look at other places near the airports, essentially in Texas, where that is growing because everyone wants to be closer to. Okay, do I need to get out of here? Do I want to? I'm going to fly to, and this is an example for Austin. It's like we live 2 hours or an hour and a half away from the airport, and we're still considered in North Austin. It's a pain in the ass.
Oh,
and
wow.
so people are going to gravitate towards places that have infrastructure, whether that's airports, whether that's newer developments, which are huge. Fort Worth, Austin. We live in interesting times, man. There's a lot of change.
Yeah. But I got to tell you, Austin's not my scene. Like on the list of places that I want to be at in Texas, the Dallas area is number 1, which is where I'm at now. Houston is the very bottom. I don't want to go to and I'm sorry for everybody who's in Houston listening to this, but Houston's like the armpit of Texas. All right. It is hot. It is humid. It is gross. It's so laid out. It's like 1,000 miles wide to get from left to right on it or east to west. It's just not where I want to be. Austin's right above that to me. I don't love it. It's not my scene. Other than you guys, I'm not in with the people there. Like I don't jive with that like hippie vibe. The whole keep Austin weird thing just keeps me out. So, and the traffic, last time I was there, it was miserable.
I'm with you. So I was only in Austin because whenever I was younger, I was going to college and I was in between Baylor, and then I was thinking about, should I finish at UT? And I ended up finishing at St. Edward's University, which is a small private university here down in South Congress. But what you have in Austin, and don't dox me, don't hate me here, but I've lived here long enough to know people. There's this vibe of like this pre-Silicon Valley. I'm too important. I'm different. I'm unique. And it's like, stop. No one gives a shit. Okay. Sorry. No one gives a shit. And also, you're not that special. You're not some raging artist. No one knows about you. But what you have is just this continuation of this like vacuum of this zeitgeist of all these people being like, oh, I'm unique, I'm special, I'm a hippie. It's like, get out of here. Yeah. The days are over. The hippies lost their message in the 70s. I don't know if you know that, people, but I'm with you. That's why we live kind of out in the outskirts because that's just not our scene either. But
Yeah.
we're here because we have family here, clearly Simpler Trading. But there's a part of me that loves the hill country. We have a ranch here. There's a lot here for us, and the food is good. But I'm with you. I mean, if I was in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and my life was there, that's my scene because you have a business acumen there. You've got
It's a business mindset here. Yeah,
mm,
it is. And I've actually heard, I'm not the only one who feels this way. Like it's a whole like cliche meme thing that Dallas people don't like Austin people and vice versa. I like you guys.
oh
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't actively want to go to Austin. When for one reason or another I need to go to Austin, I'm like, oh, I hate Austin. But not as much as Houston.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on Houston. Houston, I would only go there if I had like a helicopter. I could go into a steakhouse and then I could leave. I could just like take the helicopter back. But I was talking to with Tim about his book a long time ago, and I know that he moved to Austin. But whenever I was talking with Tim Ferriss about the 4 hour.
Wait. Can't just throw names around like that. You know Tim Ferriss?
Yeah. I've talked to
I
him.
don't think you've mentioned that before.
Well, no, so the thing is whenever I lived downtown, I lived around a lot of people that a lot of people have heard about. I used to live down the hall from Alex Jones. I mean,
I bet
just
that was
kind
a
of
fun hallway.
dude. I tell you what, we used to hit the elevator, a lot because he's my neighbor. And every time, we'd run into each other, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm on my way to an establishment meeting. The Illuminati needs me." And since then, let's see, I've been out of there for 5 or 6 years. But I've run into him a couple times, and he was always very polite and nice. He's an entertainer, and he's. I'm an apolitical person. I mean, whenever you're someone like that, his neighbor, it's just kind of like, it's different. It's different. But no, 4 hour work week had a huge impact on me. And I went to one of Tim's things. He was signing books one time, and then I found out that he, lived close. And so I've just thanked him so many times because somebody that put that much work into a book, and it's a dense book.
All of his books they're
They're
all
so filled
like
with
900 pages.
such good information, and it's had a huge impact on my health and my business life and my work. And it inspired me to write my own book. It's just like one of these things where that's one benefit maybe of Austin, and just maybe my situation at the time was, I had these people that everyone tends to know about. And it would just be like, I'd be going to pick up my breakfast down on 2nd Street in downtown Austin. I'd run into, I hate name dropping, so I'm going to stop doing that. But just like, some good examples of like, hey, he did this, you can do this. There's some smart people here, but.
Well, to that point, there are definitely a lot more name droppable people down in Austin. I will give you that. They all want to be there. I know it's because they didn't grow up here. They don't know how they're wrong. I guess if I was moving from out of state, that's where I would go to.
Yeah, right. No, I totally hate name dropping, but I think I was just getting to a point where like I moved out of downtown. I'm so fed up with like all that unique keep Austin weird, and it's just like you walk around and it's like, get over it yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's been quite the journey every time I go there. But I have been there for the Formula One race, and the race that I went to was 2015. That was the first year it was there, and that was the year when it rained buckets, and it was just totally miserable. And I had a great experience because I was we got the best tickets. We were 2nd row, right on the front straight. And like I was a McLaren fan at the time. Fernando Alonso was driving for them, and I was like, I could like talk to him. I was that close, and that was so cool to me. What an experience that was. But that's the last time I've like actively stayed in Austin, so maybe it's better now. Who knows?
But I remember that because my mom and her husband at the time, they were big into that, and I remember them coming out from that being like, oh, it just rained the whole time, and it's fine, I guess, but. I've never been to that. Was that cool?
It was really cool. Now, I will say, having first time at a Formula One event, like the place to be, like the expensive tickets are on the front straight where we were, right? And especially when you're right up close. But I think the better tickets are in the corners where you can actually see things happening, because they're driving past us literally 220 miles an hour. So there's nothing really going on besides blurs, right? And you can see them like in the starting and the finish and the pit lane and everything's right there. But the real action, I think, is in the corners. And that's really where, if I were to go again, I would definitely get a corner ticket. And, there's like 22 corners, so there's plenty to choose from.
Well, come down here. Come have an excuse to come to Austin now. We'll go to Formula One once they start going up again. Well, I'm sure they're still going. All right.
Yeah, you know what? Let's figure that out, Jack. I need to go out there and actually meet all of you people in person, because I think I've interviewed nearly all of y'all's people except John. He's stalemated me so far, but we'll see. Maybe one day I can get him on. But yeah, go out there and actually meet you guys in person. That'd be cool. And then maybe we could even do like podcasts in person. That'd be neat.
Let's do that.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be great. I'll put you up over here and give you some, we'll go downtown and we'll make sure you meet some of your favorite people.
Well, maybe you can show me why Austin is great. Maybe you can show me why everybody's moving there now.
I'm glad you said that, because the only thing that is really keeping me here, except for like family and work, is I really do love the nature. I'm a big nature hiker, right, outdoorsman. I've traveled all around the world to some insanely outdoorsy places. And I tell you what, Austin has some amazing spots where you can just literally in the middle of the city just be in a forest, and it's nice. It's nice.
The hill country area there is a lot more interesting than it is here, for sure.
Yeah, we have some watering holes, and sorry.
I heard Batman lives there too, right? I mean, he's got the Batcave there, so Batman's there. It's Gotham City's actually Austin, so.
Yeah. If y'all didn't know that, no, I mean, I just think that there's a lot to be said for this area. That I think the people, it's brought in, everyone, and it's most people in Austin are not Texans anymore.
Right. Yep.
And so, and this is off topic, but I was driving downtown on the east side, and I'm trying to cross the road.
I was driving through the street in my east side.
Yeah,
6'4", right?
And there's this couple like walking across the street and didn't even look to see me. And then I'm like, hey, get out of the road. And she turns around at me and it's like, what's your problem? It's like, you're not from here. You're from California, where you expect everything to go perfectly in your way and all this stuff. And I found myself like in a really negative space at that time. But it's like, if that's the standard now in Austin, it's like, that's totally obvious to me. And it's like, I don't want any part of being on the east side of Austin because it's so hipster. It's like, no one cares. You're not unique. Like, I'm being harsh right now because it's totally true, and no one wants to speak up and be a man about it.
That's all right. You know what? I appreciate the fact that today, Jack, we kind of did our own thing, right? Last time, just to give you guys some behind the scenes thrills here, Jack and I were like, okay, we're going to just make this a cool, fun conversation, kind of like if we were doing a Joe Rogan podcast. And we totally didn't do that. We went into teaching mode, and we started off that way today, but then we've done it, Jack. I think we have accomplished our chill 45 minutes of just having a conversation.
I've written a short guide on how you can use the Triple Stock Profit system. It's the secret weapon every investor needs right now to change your financial future. And you can get it for free by visiting TripleStockProfits.com or in the links below. Also, if you want to join a community of traders just like you can get free access to the elite membership that has even more resources to help you trade faster and trade smarter.
So Jack, I really appreciate the conversation today. This has been really good, really nice change of pace. Now, where can people, you said you had a web class or something going on, right? Where can people go find that at?
Yeah, for sure. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's I am Jack Roberts. Same thing with Instagram. But I am teaching a class tomorrow, and tomorrow is the 10th. And you can go to simplertrading.com/micro. And basically, it's my repeatable, consistent formula on trading micro futures, which is a new financial instrument, very, very similar to the E-minis, but very, very different in a lot of other ways. And I found a really nice little sweet spot that's helping other people, especially new traders, trade futures and have some exposure and growing small accounts. And that's one of my specialties, is helping other new traders grow, whether they're just options traders trying to get into micro futures. Yeah, you can sign up at simplertrading.com/micro, and we'll have live trading and I'm going to teach how to have consistent returns, trading micro futures, and high probability setups, along with a lot of market psychology as well, and that's beneficial for new traders.
That's really cool, Jack. I may need to go and check that out for myself. You never know. Listen, man, I'm always about learning more stuff, right? You can learn from a million different people, but you really got to figure out what works best for you. So I think it would be really interesting for people to at least go and check out Jack and what he's talking about there. For come on the show and tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter at @IamJackRoberts.
Yes, and that's because he is a celebrity. He knows lots of people. He name drops. He knows it, man. So I am Jack. It should be I am Jack Roberts official with verified.
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yes, perfect. Well, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate your time today, and I appreciate you guys tuning into today's How to Trade Stocks and Options podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and enable notifications. That way you never miss any of the tools, tips, and tricks that we upload every single week to help you trade faster and trade smarter. And I'll see you on the next episode.